Hello and welcome. In front of me here today I have a Unicron saber from Pach Store. Now if you're not familiar with Pach Store, I've done a couple of reviews for sabers from Pach Store before. I've done the Kyojin or Tiny Giant and the Wonderforce Hitrin V3 I believe it was. Generally speaking, Pach Store sells sabers that are rather plain designs with installs that have a fair number of features but tend to be towards the lower end of the price bracket. They like to sell entry-level sabers. The other things that they do, though, are they have some limited run collector's sabers. Now, the collector's sabers that they've done in past are things like a screen-accurate Dooku or let's see, what was it? A Qui-Gon. They had a Qui-Gon Hilt. This, which they are calling their Unicron, is a Darth Nihilus Hilt. Now, I've reviewed one Darth Nihilus Hilt before from Holocron. This is a very, very different design. I'll talk about the design in just a moment. But they sell these things as kits, which means that you buy them completely empty. Sometimes they're drilled, sometimes they're not. They don't come with a blade, they don't come with any electronics. Let me go ahead and show you the kit here. Alright, if I take the blade out, okay, this is the Unicron hilt itself. Let me get the camera close up here. Now, the elephant in the room here is, I'm sure that most of you are probably already realizing exactly what this looks like. And every time I show people a picture of this hilt, that's what I get. Just set that right there for emphasis. This is actually a really nicely designed hilt. I'll talk about the ergonomics of it in just a moment. But it is screen accurate from Knights of the Old Republic, or pretty dang close to screen accurate, a whole lot better than the Holocron was. So, yes, it does look like a giant dildo. But the people who made Knights of the Old Republic decided that for whatever reason, Darth Nihilus was going to wield a giant dildo. So, there you have it. You can blame the Knights of the Old Republic people rather than the Pach Store. But at any rate, this is what you get. The original name for this thing, before they called it the Unicron, was the Unicorn. Partially, I think that was in reference to the desirable yet unobtainable nature of this hilt. But also it's partially in reference to this right here. Alright, so they called it the Unicron, or the Unicorn rather, and then at some point they released something about eating worlds, and one of the viewers out there, one of the people on Facebook said, well, shouldn't it be a Unicron, which is a Transformers reference, and they gave him a coupon and stole the name, so Unicron it is. But it is a Darth Nihilus saber. Now this is very thin, very sleek, a couple elements of the design that you may have noticed. It has this flared emitter up here. The emitter is a separate part. Unscrews from the body of the saber. It has this lump right here, sort of a ridged lump, which is actually, I'll talk about in just a moment, a very nice grip. I haven't actually experienced anything like this grip in the sabering world before, but it reminds me a lot of some of the pistol grips or ergonomic grips on fencing foils. Just the way that your hand kind of fits into this groove right here. So it's actually really nice to grip. Below this lump, the Holocron Nihilus featured concentric rings, but this one actually features a spiral. So if I put my thumbnail in this groove right here and rotate the saber, it gets all the way down to the bottom. This bit right here is a spiral. Okay, and then we've got the ridges here, and we've got a pommel. Now I'll show you where the pommel unscrews right there. I'm not going to unscrew it all the way because of the install that I have in here. You may have noticed my activation button is back here in the back. When you buy this as the kit, it comes in a nice box and you get all three of these parts. Like I said, it is not pre-installed with electronics. The only pre-installed components to it. Why is the emitter not going back on? There we go. Okay, the only pre-installed components, they do have a set screw tapped for the blade, they have a set screw tapped for the LED, and they have a little bit here at the end that unscrews that I was referring to originally as the carbuncle in the first couple of pictures that I put up of this. But it's a little bit that unscrews, that has a little screw hole in the middle of it that fits like the standard screws that lightsabers usually use. So if you wanted to screw a KOTRII wheel in there, you could. I believe that they said that it was for a recharge port. It was also the only place in this thing that there was a hole, so it's somewhere that, or besides where the blade goes. So it's what I used for the activation button. It was a bit narrower though, so if you get this and you're looking to install an activation button back here like I did with my quick and dirty install, this is actually a Saberforge plug-and-play warrior kit I've got in here with a deep red LED. The LED housing fits in this thing perfectly. The internal diameter on this is the same as a Saberforge. However, you'll notice from the design that unless you're dealing with a very low profile switch, you don't have anywhere on here to put a switch. If you put it up here, it's going to be on your grip and you're going to be hitting it. If you put it down here, you're going to be hitting it quite a bit. So I just used that spot where they had the carbuncle, and I used a Dremel tool and made it a little bit wider, installed my switch back here. So basically the internals of this, I've got the LED up here, the battery right here, and then the switch cable, which usually goes up from the battery, loops back around and comes down to the pommel. I can still get the battery out pretty easily to recharge, so it's no big problem there. Alright, so this is the design of the thing, and I said that it was very ergonomic and user-friendly. Let me go ahead and get you a close-up of the grip here. Alright, so for a stunt install, you might have seen it was easy enough to get that stunt install in here. If you wanted to do a sound install, you may have noticed there are no sound vents on this thing whatsoever. So for a sound install, you'd have to drill your own vents, and you'd have to figure out where the heck you're going to put a button. And if you wanted a recharge port, you'd have to figure out where the recharge port is going to go, because as a kit, it just comes like this. But it's a very nicely designed saber. It's also very well balanced. I did a speed test of this thing a while back, and this is actually probably the fastest and easiest to use saber that I have ever held. The fact that it's so obscenely shaped, you can make of that what you will. But very good point of balance. I actually put some lead weight in the pommel to bring the balance back a little bit, otherwise it would be up here. This is a Ripper unstable blade that I thought looked really good with it, so that's what that is. But anyhow, very easy to use, very nice designed, very well weighted, very easy to grip, and a lot of reference points. So if you're doing behind the back passes or things like that, it's much easier to figure out where on the saber you are because each part of this is unique. So of the two designs of Nihilus hilts that are out there, not only is this the more accurate, but this is by far the more comfortable to use. It just takes a little bit of work to get it done. This is in a semi-polished state right here. They do offer them as raw. I'm going to go ahead and give you a close-up real quick one more time so that you can see inside of some of the grooves. When you look, you can still see a little bit of machine flaw. So semi-polished, not high-polished. I believe that this thing will weather well, and I'm planning to do that with it. But very nice saber. I believe that they're going to be issuing them in small releases, limited numbers. But if you are a Nihilus cosplayer, this would probably be the one to get. So if this review has been of help to you, then please join me back for more, and I'll see you around.